Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The issue I'd like to discuss with you today is the recent verdict in the Bradley Manning case. Bradley Manning was a private in the U.S. Army who was accused of releasing classified information. He was facing several charges. The principal and most dangerous charge for him was the charge of aiding the enemy. He was acquitted of that charge. He was, however, convicted of the lesser charges, which involved disobeying lawful orders and releasing classified information without authorization. The documents and evidence that Bradley Manning released involved actions by the U.S. government, namely the U.S. military in Iraq, that was unlawful and was a violation of various human rights principles and laws. The most damning piece of evidence was a piece of video that revealed Iraqi civilians being killed by an overhead helicopter attack. The Iraqi civilians were unarmed at the time. Presumably, the reason why the court could not convict Manning of the most serious charge, aiding the enemy, was because the prosecution failed to prove sufficient intent on Bradley Manning's part that he willfully and deliberately released the information to aid an enemy. People who are cognizant of the issues, statements, and evidence in the case understand that Private Manning's objective was not to aid an enemy. He was, however, attempting to inform the U.S. public of various wrongdoings by the U.S. government. In parallel to the Manning case is the Edward Snowden case. Edward Snowden was not a military officer. He was a civilian employee of the U.S. government who also was a whistleblower in that he wanted to reveal to the American public and the world public various wrongdoing by the U.S. government, in particular the NSA. While Bradley Manning was reporting wrongdoing of the U.S. government outside of the U.S. against non-U.S. nationals, the information that Snowden released was about wrongdoing of the U.S. government on U.S. soil against U.S. citizens. Snowden revealed the massive search, seizure, and collection of electronic records of U.S. citizens without probable cause and without a warrant, in violation of the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. What both the Snowden case and the Manning case demonstrate is the conflicting interests and the tension between the public's right to know what their government is doing and the government's interest in operating secretly and in some cases violating the law in pursuit of security objectives. Also, what both cases illustrate is the use of categories of law, broadly titled espionage law, against whistleblowers. Whereas the original purpose of the Espionage Act was to protect the U.S. government in its strategic decisions and operations in a wartime situation against foreign spies aiding a foreign enemy. This is quite different than what Snowden and Manning's actual objectives were. They were not trying to aid an enemy. They were attempting to aid the U.S. public to understand what is going on behind closed doors in the offices of their own government. Now, this leads to the whistleblower's conundrum. Currently, the U.S. law provides for various acts and laws that protect whistleblowers. This would protect whistleblowers such as Snowden and Manning had they proceeded through the proper channels. For instance, under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, Manning could have alerted and reported the misconduct to his superior officers in the chain of command, or even have gone outside of the chain of command and alerted a member of Congress about the wrongdoing. However, both Manning and Snowden chose to go outside the normal channels that are authorized by law and reveal this information to the press or to alternative media such as WikiLeaks. Now, the whistleblower's conundrum is this. According to the Whistleblower Acts, a citizen is entitled to receive protection under the whistleblower law if he reports the wrong conduct to the very same government that he's accusing of wrongdoing. In this day and age, if you watch the news, if you surf the internet, you can see there's a massive distrust of the government. Multiple examples are demonstrated on almost a weekly basis of the government acting illegally in violation of citizen rights with what appears to be impunity. There seems to be, in certain instances, two levels of law. One for normal citizens and other for citizens in official positions with titles, either as professional politicians or high-ranking members of the military of the U.S. government. And these persons seem to be immune from the law. What needs to be done is a correction of the espionage law and a correction of the Whistleblower Act to allow more options for whistleblowers and Snowden, such as Snowden and Manning, to release information and enjoy the protections of the law, while at the same time preserving the legitimate security interests of the government. Faith in government and government officials also needs to be restored. Fair treatment of whistleblowers and encouraging whistleblowers to come forward and reveal the information will be a long step forward into achieving trust by the citizens in their own government. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.